Isn't it crazy? Christmas baubles attached to his nipples. They're jiggling their pecs. If a woman did that, why is one suddenly okay and one's not?
Eating cats or dogs, very normal.
Yes, yes, yes.
Singapore is a dictatorship.
Singapore a dictatorship?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Isn't it?
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome back. Today's question is, what makes something socially acceptable? So I had a lot of examples that I was thinking in my head, and I couldn't decide which ones to pick from. So then I analyzed them and I realized the common theme is social acceptability. For example, breastfeeding for women in public, not allowed, or showing their nipple, for example. But for men, generally more socially acceptable. But I guess it also depends on country. And I think the other one that I had is
PDA?
No.
Oh.
It was more social media. Most of the social medias will allow you to show a level of violence. I'm talking about like the news. When the news portrays violence, it's actually okay. But if it's like nudity, it's suddenly like not okay. I understand it's like the society and generally based on what people at a certain time allow, but I think I want to explore it a bit further than just saying society is what determines whether something is socially acceptable or not. And then obviously there's changes through periods and what causes that. Does that make sense? So the example that I'll give for the violence one, in Melbourne, there was that attack on the lady. Do you remember the one that she was like stabbed in the neck or like she was stabbed in the chest? Did you see that? Lady was walking down the street and then this random person came with a knife and stabbed her. And that was shown on social media. Obviously they blurred the actual like knife being stabbed part, but you could see it was quite graphic. Whereas if there's any nudity on social media, it's completely like blocked, deleted straight away. So that's one instance. And then, yeah, the breastfeeding example or a woman showing her nipple. I said this in a previous episode, but on social media now, there's like guys with really big pecs, and you can just see they're jiggling their pecs, literally. One of them had like Christmas baubles attached to his nipples, and his pecs are the size of a woman's breasts, and that's okay. But then if a woman did that, like her account would get banned or whatever. So, like, what leads to this? Why? And isn't it crazy? It's like, just because it's a man's pecs, even though they're literally the same size, so we can't say like it's because of size or something.
That's, yeah, very true.
Then why is one suddenly okay and one's not? That's my question today.
I think my default answer to this is just like culture, right?
Tell me more.
Because like you said, depending on where you are, some things are socially acceptable. By socially acceptable, I think we mean like accepted by a big portion of society.
I think
Not technically, doesn't have to be majority, but at least a sizable portion of the community.
I think even the term socially acceptable, like you said, what's acceptable in one cultural context or one society is not necessarily acceptable in another.
Yes.
For example, when we went to Japan recently.
Oh, I was going to say the biggest example is public transport etiquette. So I think in Hong Kong, do not eat on public transport. In Singapore, do not eat on the trains, on the buses, on the trams.
Same with Japan.
Same with Japan. But it's no eating on the buses in, Australia, but it's not that bad.
Oh, really?
And train, it's like you can
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Buses, they have like a rule, no eating or drinking, but that's mostly to prevent spillage.
Yeah.
But it's not like as heavily enforced. And then another example is people in Japan. I mean, if you're on public transport in Japan, you're generally expected to only whisper and just be quiet.
Yes.
Whereas Australia is just like, oh, and then the US is just like, do whatever. Like, do whatever you want on a train.
So the example I was going to give is when I went to Japan, I went to the gym that day that you didn't go to the gym, and just the experience was everyone is really quiet. People don't even scroll on their phones. They're expected just to kind of use the equipment, and then no one slams their weights, nothing. It's like very
Demure.
demure. Which in many ways people are like, oh my God, it's so nice, peaceful and quiet. But then, yeah, it just contrasted to anywhere else that I've gymmed, gone to the gym. And people who like drop their weights, things like that, which is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I think my point is there's just such a huge contrast of how you're expected to behave, even in a setting like the gym in
Yes. Like
foreign countries.
Yeah, like probably I assume like grunting as well. Like loud grunts, like not that popular in Japan. You're expected to be quiet, demure, polite. Whereas everywhere else it's just like just make more noise.
Ah, I am Hulk.
If it makes you feel good, just make more noise, right?
Interesting. So
How does a society develop in a way where, like Japan, where you're expected to be more mindful of other people?
this is the ultimate question. How does a society develop into that? And then what causes the changes between like generations? Because I'm sure, actually, this would be really interesting to look into. Does a society's behavior across generations change substantially? Or if they're like quite demure generally, does it remain like that for the multiple generations? I don't know. This is not an expert-led show. This is two guys with a dog. Any thoughts, Chai? No, see, she has no thoughts. Yeah. So what do you think causes a culture to... what I think, actually, I had a thought, is that whoever is the ruler, I'm assuming most... like historically, there's always like a leader, right? And historically, a lot of dictatorships, like kings, queens, royalty, right? And it's dependent on the ruler. If the ruler is like, I'm a demure person, this is allowed or not, just like
True.
passes down, trickles down, and that's what probably
Yes.
creates culture.
That's true. Like, I think the biggest example when I was growing up was Singapore with the chewing gum. Like, society was fine with chewing gum. It's not like society hated chewing gum.
Yeah.
It's just that, can you tell the story? I don't fully know the story, or do you want me?
I don't remember this story.
I think the story is a piece of gum got stuck in the train doors, which caused a massive failure of the entire public transport system for a while. And then they decided, let's just ban gum. Like, it's not like society hated gum. It was just they decided that it wasn't worth it. And they don't want that happening again.
Yeah.
And Singapore is a dictatorship. So that's an example of...
Is Singapore a dictatorship?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
I thought it was a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship.
I feel like it's not, but it's not like your traditional dictatorship. Let me see.
Tekky's fact-checking me.
Fact checking. No, it's a parliamentary democracy with a constitution that guarantees free elections, but is often described by political scientists and international observers as having authoritarian traits or being a flawed democracy
So
due to the long dominance of a single party.
So it's functionally a dictatorship because you can't vote and there's only one party.
No, can you vote?
But you can only vote for one party? Does the Singaporeans vote?
I don't know.
Guys, we don't know enough about the world, apparently, evidently. And for those of you who think that we're Singaporean, I think you can tell now that we are not Singaporean. Or maybe the better way to describe it is Singapore is authoritarian.
Yes, I think that's
which is,
a better.
in my opinion, from Australia, from a two-party system,
Okay.
basically a dictatorship.
This is a great example of how your background experience influences what you think.
And also, haven't all the prime ministers been from like one family for the past like 3, 4, 5 prime ministers or whatever it is? They have all been good.
I know
I'm not
the current one
criticizing
and
them.
the father is father
have-
and son. But I think, yeah, I don't know if it's a dictatorship.
So I think if it's like, in my opinion, if it's like, the father is the prime minister and then the son, and then probably the son's son, that's pretty close
Mm.
to a dictatorship. Or if even they are amazing, actually really good compared to other dictatorships, but still.
I can't fact check properly. This is too much.
ChatGPT it, and then hopefully it doesn't hallucinate.
No, let's not do that. I know at least the current one and the
Father.
previous one are father and son.
Yep, which is not common, is only common in like monarchies.
That's true. That's true.
Or dictatorships.
So even if it's not explicitly a dictatorship, it's starting to look a bit more like an authoritarian.
It's super sus.
But I feel like
They've done a good job.
Yeah.
They've done a good job.
It's like, how old is Singapore? Like 65 years or something? And it's developed very fast. And
Didn't Singapore exist before the Republic of Malaysia or whatever it is? They split, right?
That I don't know.
We don't know. Anyway,
Don't come to us for history. Hey guys, if you're enjoying our content, the best way you can support us is by subscribing.
This helps us make better videos for all of you.
Woo!
skipping past that, that's an example of where the person at the top decided, yes, they had a reason, but they decided to ban something. And then now it's just become social norm to just not chew gum.
Yeah.
Which I thought as a Australian I'm like, what do you mean I can't chew gum? It's
With
like,
gum chewing
like,
tendencies.
It's like saying you can't eat candy, but then also the US banned Kinder eggs.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
So I guess that's, I don't know. So I guess
Kinder
it's
Surprise.
fine.
Yeah, isn't it the running joke you're allowed a firearm, but you're not allowed a Kinder Surprise? Yeah.
So I guess one example of social norms, so social acceptance is just the person at the top being, I don't like this thing, and they're banned.
The whole point of that was that someone at the top decides whether
For everyone.
and it trickles down.
But in some cases, there's no reason. I'm sure like olden days, it was just up to the person, like Henry VII being, I don't like this, and then it happened. But I'm sure the people, it's like the Singaporean or even the US with the Kinder eggs, there's a reason behind it, which is public safety.
Yep. Oh yeah, true. I think that's fair. Often these social standards are influenced by public safety.
Because if you, for instance, if you ban things too willy-nilly, you'll get resistance.
Correct.
But usually there's always a reason to say something is not socially acceptable.
But what public safety looks like in different countries differs substantially. Like Australia requires you to wear a helmet when you ride a bicycle.
Yes.
But much of Europe does not.
True. And they probably have a lot higher, they have less fatal accidents.
I can't remember, but someone did the research and like you can't just look at it from a helmet injuries perspective. Does that make sense? Like a head trauma related perspective, because when you make riding helmets a lot more accessible, for example, you don't have to wear a helmet, there's like flow-on impacts. Oh, there's less cars. And then maybe the risk of an accident is actually less now. So you have to look at it holistically. Public health is so complex. Does that make sense?
That's why you have to look at things per capita. That's what I mean by like fatal accidents per capita.
Yeah. This reminds me of that graph, like ice cream sales and shark attacks. What is it? Correlation does not mean causation.
Yes.
There's a graph where ice cream sales go up and shark attacks also go up. And obviously, everyone can infer it's the weather causing it. When the weather gets hotter, more people in the beach, more people buying ice cream. But there's a lot of data that's shown around the world that shows you that. So it shows you things, or people try to argue a point to you, and you really need to fact check yourself whether it's correlation or causation. Yeah. What was the point of that?
Social norms, social acceptance, wearing bike helmets. So have we arrived at an answer? Or?
Oh, yes. The point was that social acceptability can be influenced, or like how it develops, what's socially acceptable, sometimes from the person at the top. Or often, I think, it's just the society's way of doing things for a long time.
It's very similar to the previous topic we had about the homophobia.
Yes.
It's just, again, what culture has taught you, religion has taught you, the person at the top has taught you, and what your parents have taught you. I think that's what social acceptance is. Because again, if you, for instance, if you had social acceptance of gay people, you wouldn't have homophobia because it's normal. Or you would have a little bit, but it's, by definition, if something is socially acceptable, you're not going to have that much resistance against it. So I feel like it's the same thing.
What this also makes me think of is the more widespread anything is, the more socially acceptable it is. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
your example of like homosexuality. If homosexuality instead accounted for 50% of the population, it's probably more normalized. More people see it, more people are okay with it.
Yep.
So going back to like the breastfeeding example or the violence example, if like we were just used to people breastfeeding in public, or like girls also being able to show like their breasts, how like guys can be topless, girls can also be topless, and it was socially acceptable, and that's what we were used to, people would be more okay with it. But it's because we've been raised in a culture where it's like not okay, that when you see it, you're like, oh my God. It's like, again, previously we talked about this, you're wired to see patterns in life, right? It makes it easier for you to live, reduces your like mental load to live. So when something breaks that pattern, then that's when you kind of recognize it. Yeah.
It's the whole exposure thing. I'm sure for Japanese people, it's the norm to be polite or quiet in public transport. So it's really jarring when foreigners come and they're super loud.
Yes, for sure.
That's why to them it's not socially acceptable, because it's not the social norm.
Yes.
It's not the norm. I guess social acceptance and social norm is very similar then, right? Because if it's the norm, you're going to accept it.
What is the social norm is what is socially accepted by the majority.
Yes.
Yes.
So I reckon they're the same.
And even like depending on who you spend your time with. Like let's pick a specific cultural context, like Australia. Like depending on the friend groups, the friendships that you make, even within a specific culture, that's going to substantially influence whether something is acceptable or not.
For instance, wearing shoes inside the house.
Wearing shoes inside the house, yes. I was even thinking smaller things like that. Like some people are, you must cross at a traffic light, only on green. This is like a really dumb thing. Jaywalking. Some people jaywalk, some people don't. Like depending on your friendship group. Some people will be like, yeah, it's fine to jaywalk. There's no car, just cross anyway. And other people will be like, no, it's red. You have to wait until it's green to cross, because that's what like society dictated, or the rule says.
Illegal. And
Correct.
then Australia is like, jaywalking is fine if you're 20 meters away from a zebra crossing or something.
I love it. I
Light
love
crossing.
Australia's.
So you just need to make sure you're 20 meters away.
I love the technicality. But yeah, social acceptability depends on the people that you surround yourself with.
What they consider is fine, I guess, normal.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's just going in a circle.
Yeah.
But how you determine whether something is fine or normal is just what the majority thinks.
Correct. And I think there is naturally going to be some things that don't make sense as a result.
So I guess I think an example is, for instance, the stereotype, the old stereotype of Asians eating cats or dogs. Right? Way back when, 200, 300 years ago, it was the norm to eat those animals because that's just what it is. It's just animals. Like, when you think about it logically, it's just humans eat other animals. It's like very normal.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then recently, from different parts of the world, it became increasingly more common to keep them as pets. And then that wave slowly pushes like through borders. For instance, gay marriage is like a wave, a social movement, I guess. Other things is also the legalization of weed. It's like a slow social movement, or psychedelics. It's like a slow social movement through different cultures and it changes people's perception. So like
Yes.
social norms are like always changing, right?
That's true.
Just depending on exposure. Because when, for instance, I don't know, China is probably the country that I know, some parts still eat dogs and cats, probably, I assume.
Yep.
But obviously not all of China. And it's a social movement that they've exposed more to, oh, these countries don't eat dogs and cats. These ones don't. I don't want to eat dogs and cats either. And then slowly move.
Yeah. I think growing up, I have this very black and white idea of what's right and wrong based on how I'm raised, what people tell me. And it's almost like as I grow older, I think that I realize there's so much variability in the world. For example, and then I think I realized society as a whole also changes its mind on different things. And that's like okay and part of human nature. So the example I want to give is like cigarettes. Maybe before we were born, or around the time we were born, like the 90s, 80s, 90s, like you could openly sell cigarettes. Actually, yes, you could. And you could advertise cigarettes.
In Australia.
In Australia, I'm talking in Australia. And then the legislation came in about like plain packaging, all the health warnings and all that stuff. And then the generation afterward is like really got drilled into them. Cigarettes are really bad for you. But the older generations like been advertised cigarettes as like health sticks. There was like, I think a guy climbing a mountain smoking cigarettes as a marketing campaign. So if we look at cigarettes as one example and then like weed as another example, like you can see these waves starting to happen, which is people's opinions change depending on like what is acceptable at a given time. And this is not a single topic. It's multiple things, like you said. The psychedelics. I don't know what else. Oh, a great example at the moment is like, yeah, I forgot. Oh, sorry, I remember now. Alcohol. At one stage, there was like why was there alcohol prohibition? I don't even know.
Was that only in the US?
Yeah. But like the point is different cultures will ban different things at different times.
Yeah.
And then bring them back. Yeah. And alcohol is like so widely accepted socially in some cultures. But we live in such a Western world that we forget that there are certain countries where alcohol is like maybe religiously or socially not considered acceptable. Yeah. To summarize what makes things socially acceptable, it's really the impact of people around you. There's a community level in which there's a level of social acceptability, but even when you break that, so that's things like, okay, how loud you can talk on the train, let's say. And then people closer to you, there are different things that will be affected depending on who you spend your time with. So I think you can have your opinion on what's socially acceptable, but that's going to differ from person to person, and there's going to be different level of nuances depending on who you interact with, how that person's been raised in their background. For example, jaywalking, allowed in some cultures, not allowed in others. And allowed in some, I'm going to call it friendship groups. Some friendship groups will be like, yeah, let's jaywalk, come on, it's fine, there's no cars. And other people might be like, oh my God, no, you gotta wait. Yeah, so.
I feel this, very similar to the previous topic of it's just like exposure or like the culture of the society that you're currently in is what determines what's socially acceptable.
Yeah. And I don't think that makes it necessarily right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it just really shows me that same topic discussed with different people, you're going to have vastly different answers. Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah, I think that's it. That's my question answered. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye. Thanks for watching to the end of this video, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. He forgot his line. if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, please leave it in the comments
That's too
below.
long.